Hey guys, my name is Micah Watson and today I'll be showing you how to use the Overdrive audio effect in Ableton Live. Overdrive is a distortion effect that pays homage to some classic pedal devices commonly used by guitarists. Distortion takes an input signal, pushes it above its limit so that it sounds very gritty, and then controls the output somewhat so that your levels don't blow your speakers out. Overdrive, unlike many distortion units, can be driven extremely hard without sacrificing dynamic range. So if you're unfamiliar with what distortion is, let me know and I'll make a video purely explaining what distortion is, but I'm going to assume you know what distortion is for the sake of this tutorial. Okay, so I've got an audio track with a bass line, and then under audio effects in my browser, if you don't see that, just hit this little triangle, go to Overdrive, and then pull it in. If you click this little triangle by Overdrive, you get a whole bunch of little presets. Don't worry about those. By all means, play around with them and get familiar with their sound. They could save you time in the future, but for now, I'm just going to pull out this kind of blank slate one over here. And I'm going to bypass it quickly and just show you what the bass sounds like without the Overdrive. It's very clean. Kind of innocent. And when I activate this, it sounds a lot more badass. Okay, so at first look at this Overdrive audio effect, you can see this grid over here with a little graph and your yellow circle, which you can click and drag to change your bandpass filter. So I'll go into detail on all of these shortly. You've got your drive parameters, you've got your tone parameters, and then you've got dynamics and your dry-wet ratio. So what do they all do? Well, before you distort the incoming signal, you can bandpass filter the same incoming signal, and this can be controlled by this XY controller. So I can kind of move it around, or you can use these two rectangles over here and click and drag them, and you can see how the graph changes, or you can actually just put in a number straight from your keyboard. So for instance here, I'm cutting away most of the low frequencies, which for a bass instrument is going to make it sound thin, and I've got a slight high cut as well, and let's just hear what that would sound like. Very nasal, whereas if you kind of bring it down a bit, it's got the kind of body that you would probably want for a bass. Of course, it depends on your mix and how you want to produce your whole track, but that's just the bandpass filter. Then you've got your drive control, and this sets the amount of distortion. So with this particular plugin, when you've got 0% here, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have any distortion, because you've still got a whole bunch of other parameters in this audio effect that affect your incoming signals. I kind of liked it, sort of upwards of 40, but sort of under 70 for this particular sound. That's a bit rough for me. This is a bit too light, I guess. Then you've got your tone control, and tone acts as a post-distortion EQ control. So you've got your signal that goes through this filter, then you decide your drive and how kind of distorted you want it to sound, and then you basically EQ it again. A higher tone will result in a thinner sound, and 0% tone will be a lot more bass heavy and high cut. So if you kind of want a balanced tone, then kind of setting it around 50% should do the job. Then the dynamics slide over here allows you to adjust how much compression is applied as the distortion is increased. So if you've got a high dynamic level, this means that you've got a very small amount of compression taking place after distortion has happened, because lots of dynamics mean a bigger dynamic range, which means a bigger difference between your highs and your lows in your sample, whereas low dynamics or no dynamics means pretty much no dynamic range, which means you compress the sample. So it's going to be fairly flat, which for the sound I'm going for right now is just what I want. Note that squashing the life out of performance with compressor isn't always the right approach, so just be aware of that. And then you've got your dry-wet control, and this adjusts the balance between your processed, so your wet signal, and your dry signal, which is unprocessed. So if you've got all these controls set and your dry-wet is set to 0%, this means that it's basically bypassed because you're only getting your dry, unprocessed signal, whereas at 100% you're going to be getting a very processed signal, a wet signal, we call it. So just a note here, say for instance under dynamics you've got 0%, which means you've compressed the signal through this audio effect quite heavily. Now if your dry wet knob isn't set to 100, say set to 50%, then you're still going to be getting 50% dry signal that is unaffected by this audio effect, as well as 50% of your wet signal, which means some of this dry signal won't have the same kind of compression on it. So you can play with the balance of your dry wet knob and your dynamics to get the right kind of compression level that you're looking for. So guys, that's how to use the Overdrive, and just remember you don't only need to use it on guitars or bass, you can use it on all sorts of other things. And even though it has built-in EQ, you can still add another EQ over that if you want to boost or cut very specific frequencies. Maybe something like this. I'll be doing a video like this for all of the audio effects, so if you're interested in this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what other videos you might want to get from me, and I will see you soon in the next one.